Guess who was supposed to play in the Celebrity All-Star game? Christopher Brown. And guess who didn't play in the Celebrity All-Star game? Christopher Brown. Let's talk about it. Let's pull this up. So Chris Brown put up a story post and it says, I was asked by the NBA to play in the All-Star game this year, Celebrity All-Star game, just so you know, only for them to call later and say they couldn't do it because of their sponsors like Ruffles. Says like Ruffles because Ruffles is more than likely just one of several sponsors that said, look, if you're rocking with this guy, we're not going to rock with you. We're going to continue, though. Chris says, at this point, I'm sick of people bothering me, and I'm tired of living in the fucking past. I posted the email so y'all could see. The NBA was still trying to get me to come and sit courtside instead of being in the game. Not fucking happening. He then says, I'll go where I'm appreciated. So with that, I'm going to put on the screen the emails. I'm not going to read the emails because all they are is saying basically, hey, we want you to come play. This is what the jerseys look like, et cetera, et cetera. Professional ass email. Even with he didn't even white out the email. You see the email in there, the email address. So they probably going to change that because, you know, the fans is probably going to blow that motherfucker up. You know how they do. But this is what's going on. And we just got to get, it's like Chris said, living in the fucking past. Like, you know, the past is haunting him to this day. So all of this is happening because of the Rihanna beating over 10 years ago. That, you know, Rihanna still went back to him after that. They still reconnected and had a whole nother relationship. Chris Brown has did a video pretty much saying that, you know, whatever happened, I'm not going to get into what happened, but there was an altercation between them that led to that. And, you know, they say time heals all wounds. Unless you're black. Yep, that's what it is. But, you know, we're not even going to get into that because I could draw a bunch of parallels of, you know, people who get forgiven and don't get the same type of scrutiny for the same type of shit. Like a Dana White. But we're not going to do that because at the end of the day, domestic violence is wrong no matter who it is. It's just funny how these people play the game when it comes to Chris specifically. When it comes to Chris specifically, how they play the game. You know, you have the fans, and I know from, like, you know, the Michael Vick type shit and Chris Brown, those are the two figures who have done something heinous in the past that no matter how much time passes, the whites won't they won't forgive them. They won't forgive them. They just stay on their head top. And I'm talking about just regular, everyday people coming together online, coming together in person to boycott, you know, all that stuff. And if you look at these companies like Ruffles or whoever, if they align with anything liberal or anything like that, you know, or even if they have somebody, you know, higher up or just on the staff, like a bunch of people who just, you know, they are the type of people that you see on Twitter, like just always on Chris Brown's neck. You know, you heard I used the word liberal. You should get an idea. If it's those type of people, if the company is a company that leans that way, then yeah, they're going to make sure they're not associated with that at all. Like, you know, they're going to make sure they're not associated with this cat at all. So you have those things. Now, I'm not going to get into if he should be forgiven or anything like that because you heard the point that I made, you know, a second ago. Other people who have had similar incidents have been forgiven, but also even outside of that, you know, the person, the victim, actually forgave him years later. So, like, I'm not putting any energy towards that, but a lot of people will, even close to 20 years later. I said 20, 15 years later, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the one thing I will say, I'm going to touch on this real quick. I seen somebody say, you know, that if he hadn't gotten, and I seen this in the comments on academics, if he hadn't gotten to the blood and all that shit, he would have more wiggle room as far as his image being repaired. He would be forgiven by now, but he's just making it worse with the Piru and Piru and Piru. Now, I'll agree with the sentiment that Chris makes it worse on himself. When he went on Good Morning America back then and threw the fucking chair out the window and shit. But then you look all the way up to like, you know, recently you see him like at basketball games, like one of them basketball games, pressing somebody, yelling about the fight. And then you got the rumors about him punching on Usher over Tiana Taylor and stuff like that. It's always, it's not 2 years to go past without some Chris Brown controversy. So I'll say that does hurt him a little bit. But where I disagree as far as all the Pyru and, you know, it could fix his image and stuff like that, the NBA, the people who were putting this whole event together thought, and it's not just one person who said, you know what, Chris would be good. A team of people had to go through all types of shit, and they was like, Chris Brown would be good. Let's send it. Like, they approved. The NBA approved sending Chris Brown an email to come and play in the game. So that was not in the NBA's thought process. They didn't think there would be an issue. That's why they fuck with him. They didn't think that there would be an issue. You got to grasp that. The NBA wouldn't reach out to him if they thought that the Pyru and all the other shit, beating on Usher allegedly and shit, like, if they thought that was an issue, they wouldn't have reached out to him. They thought he was smooth. They thought it would work. They thought everything would be Gucci. But unfortunately, Ruffles and a few other companies, him being there ruffled their feathers. So with that, the sponsors, the same people who mess up fucking YouTube and like just all other types of, they're the ones who shut down his whole shit. They're the ones who shut it down. So, with that being said, I don't think that, if he wasn't doing that, he would be XYZ, because Snoop is fucking a Crip. He's a Crip and he's doing the Martha Stewart shit. It's really just that base incident, which is him beating up Rihanna. Domestic violence. They will never forgive that. It will never be something that in the eyes of the whites, he will get over. So with that being said, it is what it is. I know some of y'all hate when I get on the racial shit, but hey, man, I'm going to keep it 500,000. That's all I know how to do. So, let me know your thoughts. I'm out.